Cheryl's breakdown became her breakthrough. She returned to the United States, moved to San Francisco, and slowly began to heal.
When I decided that human feelings were something that I should get back, and when I decided that whoever I was couldn't possibly be something to be ashamed of.
At 35, Cheryl began searching for other intersexuals.
My name's Michael, and I was born with hyperspadias, and my urethral opening was mid-shaft on the underside.
Tonight, a small group of intersexuals have gathered to share their experiences.
At the age of 8 and 9, I underwent a 2-stage surgery in London, and that apparently seemed successful.
The operation moved Michael's urethra to the tip of his penis, but at the age of 14, the surgery broke down.
And on average, I get an infection about once every 6 weeks. It gives me a fever for about 3 or 4 days, and it usually does not allow me to work.
Michael has just finished his doctorate in psychology, but because of his still precarious health, he's concerned about the rigors of his new internship. His wife, Ellen, is supportive.
At the age of 30, I met my wife, who I'd been with for 12 years. I enjoy a pretty good sexual relationship with orgasm, and but I think that I look back on my life, and had I been given the choice to choose surgery later in my life, I think I would have made that choice.
Doctors are always saying that they have lots and lots of satisfied patients, and all their patients are happy, and we're just a bad bunch. We're the bad apples, and they've never produced anybody who's willing to say that.
My name is Christy, and I'm a resident of Northern California, and I was born with partial AIS. And shortly after my birth, my large clitoris was removed.
Partial androgen insensitivity syndrome, AIS, is a genetic condition in which the body's cells only partially respond to male hormones. Christie's chromosomes are XY. She was born with a large clitoris, undescended testes, and no vaginal opening. She does not menstruate, and she is not fertile.
At the age of 13, I was told by my mother that I was a hermaphrodite.
When she was older, Christie's mother explained, she would have surgery to create a vagina.
The Christmas of my freshman year, I went to New Orleans and had a vaginoplasty. Very, very frightened I was. Very, very frightened. But I felt I had to be strong for my family.
In 1994, doctors in Louisiana did what is called a vaginoplasty, taking a piece of Christie's intestine to cosmetically create a vagina.
Prior to the vaginoplasty, the destructive, barbaric vaginoplasty, I just had a sheath of skin, that did lubricate. Like the skin did lubricate, which was cool. My body responded to sexual stimulation, which of course it doesn't now. But it did. I went back to school like nothing happened. But I, started to slip into this, awful depression.
As a psychologist, Howard DeVore has treated intersexed people for almost a decade. Only recently has he been willing to share his own history.
I had at the time of birth what was later referred to as a third-degree hypospadias, which is basically an opening of the genitalia from the tip of the phallic structure all the way through what would have been testes or labia majora down to the rectum. And they decided to assign me as male within the first couple of days of life, and 16 surgeries later, the first at 3 months and the last at 23 years of age, I still have fistula, I still have leaks, I still have strictures, I still have infections. And I always thought that, the doctors had some real powerful magic out there, and that one of these times when they peeled back the huge surgical dressing, underneath that surgical dressing there would be a perfect penis.
Was there?
Never.
No.
But whatever the surgical result, our gender is infinitely more complicated than the shape of our genitals.
Intersex people don't fit the categories that most doctors are comfortable with. They want people who are male or female. Every single one of us knows that we are passing as something that we know we truly are not. Every single one of us grows up coming into contact with normal boys and girls and knowing we're not quite like that. We're not quite like that.
Welcome to a village in the Dominican Republic.
My name is Alberto Ruiz Fields, but everyone calls me Berto. I'm 21 years old. When I was 8, I walked around in a skirt or a dress and pigtails.
Just to emphasize how tricky all this chemical bodybuilding can get, there's a peculiar intersexual genetic defect called 5-alpha reductase that seems to be clustered by heredity in several small villages in the Dominican Republic.
5-alpha reductase is a disorder where individuals cannot convert testosterone to dihydrotestosterone.
Without the hormone dihydrotestosterone, genetically XY males like Alberto are born looking more like females.
They're frequently raised as females because they look like females, but as they get older, their penis grows, their testicles descend, and their identity becomes that of male, even if they were given a female identity at birth.
From about 9 years on, that's when I began to feel like a man.
Dharma Felix is Berto's mother. She and her husband had hoped for a boy, but a girl was fine too, as long as the baby was healthy.
When I bathed her in the hospital, my sister-in-law told me that she had testicles. I told her she was crazy, that she was only swollen. But then when I was bathing her, I felt a little organ inside, like a little boy's. People told me she was a hermaphrodite, a guevadoce.
Literally, guevadoce means eggs at 12, because generations of villagers have thought that the young teens' descending testicles resembled eggs.
It's interesting that individuals raised as females, even with dresses, become males later on by their own choosing very often. And that shows that these patients have been exposed to testosterone, and testosterone does have an effect on the brain.
Though the mechanism isn't yet understood, many researchers believe that the baby's own testosterone washes through its developing brain, carried by nearby blood vessels.
It will virilize the brain and make somebody act more like a male, in quotes.
Why are fishes so smart? Because they travel in schools.
In recent years, research has confirmed what most parents have long suspected. Little boys tend to be more rough and tumble than little girls. That doesn't mean they don't join in more traditional girl games with friends. But if left to choose, boys prefer the rowdy side of the street. But the real difference between boys and girls is less than you might think. Each of us is a unique combination of male and female, influenced by the exact hormone bath we are exposed to before birth. The culture we are born into certainly affects our feelings, these researchers say. But as Alberto's story proves, it's definitely not the whole story. As a baby, Alberto was named Uberque and taken home to join her older sister. The first few years were fine, but by the age of 7, there was trouble.
When she was born, she was a girl. And when she began to grow and I sent her to school, he didn't want to wear a dress, and he didn't want to go.
I never liked to wear a dress. I did it because I was forced to.
I knew from when he was small that he would be very masculine because of the way he was playing and acting. He carried trees on his shoulder like a man. He had muscles. He was very strong.
She's very strong, even though she's just an average-sized baby.